In 1986, Larry Heard sat down with a Juno 60, a TR-909, and in just a few hours created a masterpiece. Can You Feel It is one of the most influential tracks of all time and still sounds as fresh as the day it was born. But what exactly did Mr. Heard do to make that? Join me as I recreate that track from scratch to uncover the techniques that created this sheer magic that is Can You Feel It? One of which you probably don't know. Where else to start but the bass? So this bass line was made using the 909 drum machine to trigger an arpeggio on the Juno 60. This is the pattern. So as you can see, it's just these notes, A, E and A over an octave. And it's just playing this kind of slightly strange pattern like this. So how did I actually make it? I chose Diva. So what I've got is just the sub oscillator on full. I don't have any sawtooth or pulse. Quite a lot of envelope, low cutoff, and I've actually set the amp envelope and the filter envelope to be the same because that's what you get in the Juno. You only get one envelope. Then it's really mainly a matter of tweaking the envelope to get this kind of snap. It's very easy to break it. A tiny tweak can make a big difference. So then, of course, the one key ingredient in this is the chorus, which is a big feature of the Juno synth. And I tried a few. There's a nice chorus inbuilt in here, which kind of does the trick. There's also the tal chorus. At one point, I was having two of those at once. And I actually settled on this Native Instruments choral, and it says Classic Chorus 2, which I'm pretty sure is emulating the Juno chorus. So without it, it sounds like this. So hopefully you can hear that a lot of the character is coming from that chorus. Then we have the drums. The 909 is an absolute cornerstone of house and techno, and if you don't know the sounds of it, I think you need to know that as an electronic music producer because they're so ubiquitous and you can still get value out of them today. Just look at the sequence before listening. You can see basically all these clips are slightly different, and that is a feature of this track which you don't really hear nowadays in dance music. Drums change, but they tend to just... it's a process of addition, whereas in this it's actually a different pattern. So I believe he would have jammed it with his TR-909 and just kept changing the patterns up, because the longest we have is 8 bars and often they change over 6 bars. So we start off, we've just got kick drum and we've got it layered with a tom to get this. So hear it without the tom. And then as we progress through the track, so here we've got just the ride comes in. So this is a big feature of the track. It's kind of a bit too loud, but it's kind of what makes it great. It's one of those things, it's a bit wrong, but the wrongness makes it right. You know what I mean. So we have this pattern with the cymbals, then we have the clap comes in. And I think the tom comes out, I'm not 100% sure. Then we swap the clap for a snare drum. Then we have the snare drum and some closed hats. So you can just see it keeps changing basically. They do get reused, but it's a really nice thing that the drums keep changing, and I think that's one reason why it doesn't get boring, even though there are very few elements. So of course next we have this beautiful pad sound. If we look at the synth patch first, I'm using the Arturia Juno this time. We've got mainly sawtooth wave, a bit of sub oscillator, filter quite low. That's it really, it's very simple. The main chords, again, this is debated online, but it's basically an E minor chord. Some people say it's a 7th, it has a G in it, that would be this. But I don't hear that in the original. and then we go to an F major 7th and then a G. That just kind of goes through the whole track, apart from a few sections where it just loops the first 2 bars. So instead of going through the 4-bar pattern, it just stays on that note for 4 bars. So then we have this sound. So yeah, I was quite fortunate. Basically, I thought, okay, I'll call up a template. And I just thought I'd go for the init June 60. And that was already really close. So all I did was, so I just gave it a bit of filter envelope, tiny bit of resonance, brought the cutoff down a little bit, and I think it's pretty close. So what we've got here is just some pulse width and some sawtooth. Pulse width quite high. So the original was just instrumental, but this is my favourite one, is with the vocals. This Can You Feel It is from the Jacksons live. Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Triggered kind of off the beat, just done by feel again. And then this rhythm control, My House. And you can actually get this on Bandcamp.
In the beginning, there was Jack.
So there we go. There is this extra synth here, just another little melody. Let's listen to it in the context. So its genius is its simplicity. It's just, there's not a lot there, but the drums keep changing up. The vocal adds so much. But what's the real secret? So the real secret, let's hear it from Larry Heard himself. He said, I had 2 cassette decks. There were no digital recorders or even multi-track recorders. And I did 1 take, 1 pass on 1 tape, then ran it back to the other one, played some parts by hand that I wanted to add. And that was pretty much the recording process. It wasn't exactly the Beatles. The tape, this is the secret. To try and get this going, I used Satin by Yuhi. But what I did is I didn't just put 1 on the master, I put 1 on every single channel. Let's have a listen without the tape and see what the difference is. And yeah, so I put 1 on the master for good measure. To me, that's a huge difference. It's subtle. It's not like a different tune or anything, but it really glues everything together. It niceifies it. It just makes it really nice. That is definitely something I'm going to bring into my productions going forward. And if you want help with your productions, I do offer one-to-one coaching, so check out my website for that. I'd like to say a massive thanks to all my patrons, and if you'd like to support this channel, please consider joining my Patreon. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.